The sun sat heavy over the wide, rolling plains, a pale disk burning through a veil of dust and cicada hum, when the knocking came against Alden's old wooden door. It was not the sound of a man's fist, not the bold demand of someone wanting entry, but a hesitant, almost trembling rhythm, like the tapping of a bird's beak against glass, small yet insistent, impossible to ignore. Alden had lived too long in silence to mistake such a sound for anything ordinary. The ranch house creaked around him, empty but for the echo of his own breath. He rose, boots scuffing against the warped planks, and pulled the door wide. 2 children stood there in the golden wash of afternoon light. A boy with wary eyes, no more than 6, held the hand of a girl younger still, her curls dusted with dirt, her cheeks smudged. The boy squared his shoulders in a way that spoke of a burden too large for him, while the little girl clung to him, staring up with a strange mixture of trust and desperation. It was the girl who spoke, her voice soft but edged with urgency. "Mama's too bruised to stand. Please help." The words reached inside Alden like a blade wrapped in cloth, gentle in delivery, cutting in meaning. His chest tightened. He looked past them, out toward the wavering horizon, but saw no one. Only the faint outline of a broken wagon down by the stand of cottonwoods, and a figure slumped against it. He knelt down, so his eyes met theirs. "Your mama's hurt?" The boy nodded once, his jaw set, as though daring Alden to refuse. The girl only blinked, wide-eyed, clutching her brother's hand tighter. Something stirred in Alden's chest, something he thought he had buried years ago, when loss had driven him into silence. He stood, his tall frame casting them in shadow for a moment, and said simply, "Show me." They led him across the dry earth, the boy tugging his sister forward with surprising steadiness. Alden's boots sank into soft dust as cicadas buzzed and the faint cry of a hawk sliced the sky. Each step felt heavier, as if the earth itself knew he was walking toward a turning he could not undo. When they reached the wagon, Alden saw her slender figure leaning against the wheel, face half hidden by strands of dark hair. Her dress, though once fine, was torn and dulled with travel and hardship. Bruises colored her arms, and her lower lip bore a small cut. Yet there was something in the angle of her chin, in the way she pressed her back to the wood, that spoke not of defeat, but of pride fighting against collapse. She tried to rise when she saw him, but faltered, gripping the wagon for support. Her voice was low, breathless. "We'll manage. You don't need to trouble yourself." Her words struck him harder than he expected. Polite dismissal hiding shame. A wall built out of survival. He crouched near, careful not to crowd her. "You can't stand, ma'am. And your young ones came to me. That makes it my concern." Her eyes lifted, wary and searching, the kind of eyes that had learned to weigh a man's intentions before granting trust. He met them with steady calm, though his heart thudded strangely in his chest. "Name's Alden," he said. "My ranch isn't far. You and the children need shelter. Let me help." She drew a slow breath, her fingers trembling against the wagon spoke. The boy spoke for her, voice tight. "She needs rest. Please." That please settled it. Alden reached out, offering his hand. For a long beat, she hesitated. Then, with the smallest nod, she let him support her weight. He felt the sharp fragility of her bones beneath the bruises, the subtle tremor of exhaustion, and something else. Something like trust beginning to take root despite the soil of her fear. The walk back was slow, children following close, the girl humming softly as though to steady her own nerves. Alden matched Alexandra's. He heard her name only once when the boy whispered Mama Alexandra, steps carefully, every motion respectful, gentle. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in fire, and when they reached the house, it seemed less lonely than it had in years. Inside, the rooms bore the mark of solitude, Spartan furniture, neat but hollow. Yet to the children, it was a castle. Jill wandered in wide-eyed, touching the table's edge as though it were marble. Ace remained guarded, his little jaw still set like a miniature guardian. Alexandra eased into a chair, exhaling shakily. Alden fetched water, dipped a cloth, and crouched beside her. "May I?" he asked softly. She gave a small nod. He dabbed at her bruises, careful, steady, each touch both practical and strangely intimate. Her eyes flickered toward him. "We're strangers," she murmured. "Why would you help?" Alden paused, cloth hovering near her temple. His voice came low, shaped by old sorrow. "Because I know what it is to be left with nothing." The silence that followed was thick but not empty. It carried the weight of things neither dared say yet. He finished tending her wounds, set bread and stew on the table. The children ate hungrily, Alexandra slower, each bite seeming a quiet battle against pride. Days unfolded like threads from a loom, weaving them into the pattern of his ranch. Jill laughed when the chickens clucked around her, chasing them barefoot through the yard. Ace lingered near Alden, fascinated by the horses yet too cautious to touch until Alden knelt and guided his hand to a mare's soft muzzle. Alexandra's presence filled the cabin with something Alden had forgotten, the hum of life beyond himself. She moved quietly, cooking, mending, yet each small act restored dignity to her posture, warmth to her eyes. But whispers carried faster than wind in a town this small. In the general store, Alden heard them. Men with too much time and too little grace. Brought himself a ruined woman, they say. With 2 bastards no less. Another chuckled. Reckon he was lonely enough. Their laughter was the sound of knives scraping bone. Alden said nothing, but his jaw tightened, fists curling by his side. He left before his anger turned to something darker. When Alexandra heard of the talk, because gossip always found its way to the ears of those it sought to wound, her face paled. That night she told him she would leave, voice shaking. "I won't be the reason your name is dragged through the dirt." He looked at her across the dimly lit room, lantern shadows softening the hard planes of his face. "Don't let small minds drive you out. You and the children are safe here. That's all that matters." Her eyes shone, though she turned away quickly. Jill slipped her small hand into Alden's, as if she had heard and chosen her answer already. He felt the weight of that fragile trust like a vow. Time gave way to gentler days, small acts carving out a space of healing. Alexandra's laughter returned in whispers when Jill spun circles in the yard. Ace's shoulders eased as Alden showed him how to sit a saddle, how to move with a horse rather than against it. Each evening, Alexandra's eyes softened more when she looked at Alden, though her scars still whispered shame in the quiet. He, in turn, found himself listening for her footsteps, catching the faint scent of her presence in every room. Then the day came when town cruelty grew bolder. Words turned to accusations spat in the street, old men pointing, women turning away. Alexandra, humiliated, fled the market, her children tugging after her. She returned to the ranch shaken, silent tears tracing her cheeks. Alden found her near the corral, as the sun bled into the horizon. She stood with arms wrapped around herself, staring at nothing, the horses shifting restlessly nearby. He approached slowly, boots crunching gravel, and spoke low. "Don't let them break you, Alexandra." She shook her head, tears glinting. "I am no one's pride, Alden. I carry scars you can't wash away. I've been judged, cast aside. What worth is there left in me?" The words cut deep, for they echoed his own unspoken wounds. He stepped closer, voice steady, though emotion roughened its edges. "Then let me carry them with you. Don't you see? You've already mended pieces of me I thought lost forever." She looked at him then, eyes wide, searching. Silence stretched, filled with cicada song and the heartbeat of the earth. He reached for her hand, tentative, reverent. "I love you, Alexandra." Her lips parted, trembling. Before she could answer, Jill and Ace appeared from the shadows, Jill tugging her mother's dress. "Mama, don't cry. Stay here, please." Alden dropped to one knee, heart pounding, and drew from his pocket a simple silver band he had kept locked away for years, a token from a life he once believed gone. His voice was hoarse. "I never thought I'd use this, but now I know it was waiting for you. Alexandra, will you marry me?" The dusk light painted her face in gold and shadow. For a long moment she was silent, tears streaking her cheeks. Then she knelt beside him, covering his hand with hers, and whispered, "Yes." The children laughed, Jill clapping, Ace grinning shyly. Alexandra leaned into Alden's chest, her voice breaking but strong. "Yes, That night, the ranch no longer felt like an empty house. It breathed, alive with promise. Laughter echoed in the yard, the scent of bread lingered in the air, and in the quiet of his own heart, Alden felt something reborn. Years later, an old voice would recount this moment, softened by time but sharpened by memory. If you ever hear a gentle knock on your door, don't turn away. For sometimes salvation comes not with thunder, but with the fragile hand of a child, and the bruised heart of a woman learning she is worthy of love.